Good day, grade 7s. I hope you are all well. Welcome to lesson 37. For today's lesson, I will give you an overview of integers and then I will explain how to add and subtract integers. So integers are a set of numbers that includes all of the whole numbers, so numbers that start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, as well as their negatives. Integers therefore include positive and negative numbers as well as 0. Now it's important to know that 0 is neither positive or negative. So for each natural number, so that is all the counting numbers excluding 0, so starting from 1. There is also another number called the additive inverse. So if we look at 24, for example, it is a natural number. Its additive inverse is negative 24. When you add a number to its additive inverse, the answer is always 0. So 24 plus negative 24 is equal to 0. Some of the uses of integers, we can look at the measurement of temperature, as was discussed in the video that you watched yesterday. If we say that the temperature is 0 when water freezes to become ice, so freezing point, we do need numbers that are smaller than 0 to describe the temperature when it gets even colder than when water freezes. So negative numbers. A temperature, for example, of negative 5 is smaller than and much colder than 0. Another example, a temperature of negative 20 is even smaller and more negative than negative 5. A negative number can be used to describe the result where a number is subtracted from a number smaller than it. So for example, if we say 10 and subtract 20 from it, we get negative 10. Integers can be represented on a number line. The number line makes it easy to compare and order integers because you can see the position of the numbers on the actual number line. If we take the example, which number is larger? So we are comparing negative 4 and 2. If we place those numbers on a number line, we can see that positive 2 is to the right of 0. So numbers to the right of 0 are positive. The numbers are increasing from left to right. If we look at the position of negative 4, it is to the left of 0. So numbers are decreasing from right to left. They are becoming smaller in value. Now the classwork that you needed to do is firstly, write definitions of the keywords found on page 210 of your textbook. Then I want you to draw a number line. Include the numbers from negative 10 up to 0. Please do include 0. Your number line should be similar to the first number line on page 210 of your textbook. Please use a pencil to draw the number line and a pen to fill in the answers. And then complete exercise 18.1, page 211. Okay, homework will be question 5 to 8 of the same exercise. So you will read the notes that you have in the textbook. I have a page from the textbook here in front of you with the number lines and explaining how numbers increase in value from left to right and how they decrease in value from right to left. Okay, if we look at the exercise, question 1, given the numbers negative 10, 23, 0, 4, negative 6, 12, negative 2, 1, and 33. Question A says list all the positive integers, so only those that are positive. Then B, list all of the negative integers, so those that have a negative sign in front of them. C, write down a number that is neither positive nor negative. So one of the numbers from that list that is neither positive nor negative. Then question D, what is the additive inverse of negative 10? So if we add this number to negative 10, the answer will be 0. For question 2, which number is greater in these pairs? So you are comparing. An easy way to do this is to draw a number line and place the given number pairs on the number line. Then you can see in relation to 0 where the numbers are placed. Then you can tell which one is bigger or smaller. For question 3, which number is smaller? I would suggest placing them on a number line as well, and then you can see where the numbers actually lie in relation to 0 as well as in relation to one another. If the one number is to the left of the other, it means the one that is far left will be smaller because the numbers decrease as you move to the left of 0. And if the number is to the right of the other number, that means it is bigger than, because the numbers increase from left to right. For question 4, arranging the numbers is in ascending order. Remember, ascending order means from smallest to biggest, the numbers ascend. So again, I would suggest drawing a number line to do this. It makes it easier to see. Place all of the numbers on the number line, and then you can see which is the smallest one and which will be the bigger ones thereafter. For question 5, arranging the numbers in descending order, I would suggest doing the same thing again, drawing a number line and placing all of the numbers on the number line. Then you can see where they are placed in relation to each other. Descending order, remember, means from the biggest one to the smaller one. Number 6, say whether the statements are true or false. So remember, you need to know what the sign in between them means. Is it greater than? Is it less than? And then you can always also draw a number line. Place the two numbers on the number line in the correct position, and then you can see which one is bigger and which one is smaller. Then look at the statement, then you can decide whether it is true or false. For question 7, write down the integers from the list of numbers below. So please remember, integers includes all of the whole numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, as well as the negative numbers. Fractions, decimal fractions are not part of integers. Numbers that are also squared, so exponents and square roots, those are also not integers. So only write down the integers from the list below. Then question 8, fill in the missing numbers in the sequences. So look at the numbers in the sequence and fill in the one that is missing. So look at the pattern, the differences between each of the numbers. So when it comes to adding and subtracting integers, there are certain rules that you need to follow. The first rule is when two positive integers are added, the answer will be positive. The example that you have there, 12, it's a positive 12 plus positive 8 gives you 20. When you add two negative integers, the answer will be negative. So negative 12 plus negative 8 is negative 20. Why is that the case? Because the positive cancels, the negative cancels out that positive. So it becomes negative 12 minus 8, which is negative 20. You're becoming more negative or smaller. When a positive integer is added to a negative integer, the sign of the answer depends on the size of the numbers. So you can use a number line or the method below to calculate your answer. So if you have a look at positive 18, that's the positive integer, and we are adding it to a negative integer, negative 10. Okay, the answer will be positive 8 because this is the same as saying 18 minus 10. The positive multiplied by the negative actually means negative. It results in a negative answer. Please, when you write down negative numbers, do use brackets around the negative numbers. Okay, so some of the rules continued: adding or subtracting integers with like signs. If the signs are the same, add and keep the sign. So positive 4 plus positive 2 is 6. Negative 6 plus negative 8, the negative next to the positive actually results in a negative. So it's the same saying, negative 6 minus 8 is negative 14. Negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13. You are becoming more negative. When you are adding or subtracting integers with unlike signs, so different signs, subtract and keep the sign of the higher integer. So you have negative 6 plus 3. There's two different signs there, a negative and a positive. So the difference between the two is 3, so that's where you subtract, and then you keep the sign of the higher integer. So the higher integer is actually a 6, and the sign in front of it is a negative, therefore your answer is negative 3. If we look at the second example, 8 plus negative 4, we have a positive 8 and a negative 4. So the difference between 8 and 4 is 4, and we keep the sign of the higher integer. The higher integer is 8, and the sign in front of it is a positive. Therefore, our answer is positive 8. When you subtract a negative, from another negative, it turns into a positive and then follows one of the two rules above. So 8 minus 4 is actually equal to 12 because it becomes 8 plus 4. A negative times by a negative is a positive. Then minus 8 minus 4 becomes minus 4. That sum becomes negative 8 plus 4 because a negative times a negative gives you a positive. Right, the classwork that you need to do now is to complete exercise 18.2 once you have read through the notes yourself. 18.2 on page 230. So first read the notes in the textbook, addition and subtraction of integers. Look at the examples. We use a number line to find the sums. And then complete exercise 18.2. Whatever you are unable to complete during the next lesson, you will complete as homework.